Hello. Today's art project is using our primary and secondary colors to create some unique artwork that I know you're going to like. The first one may end up looking like this when we're finished. The second one may look like this. Or you can do two like this or two like this. The choice is yours. The materials you're going to need are a large plain sheet of paper. Excuse me. You're going to need your primary colors and either paints with a brush and water container, which can be just a bowl filled with water, or you can use crayons, red, yellow, blue, purple, green, and orange. Those are the colors we're going to use today, whether you choose to do crayons or paint. You will also need a pair of scissors, a pencil, a glue stick, and some background colors that we'll talk about again in a few minutes. What we're going to do start with is, if you're going to do your paints, I would suggest, first of all, adding a big puddle of water in each of your primary and secondary colors to get them nice and wet and ready to go. I would also highly recommend that you paint half of the paper with water before you start. The reason being, we want our colors, the paper wet, and then putting wet colors on it is going to cause the paint to, what we call in art terms, bleed or spread out. And when you put another color next to it, it's going to run into each other and create some fun areas that might look something like this. Do you see how they run into each other? Those are always fun to see. Now, once you finish half of the painting, go ahead and wet the rest of the paper and finish that half with more blobs of color, using only your primary and secondary colors. Now, if you're choosing to do crayons, what I would suggest is just picking up one of your colors out of your 6 that we're using and do kind of a many-legged, scratchy, I'm not sure how to describe it, blob. And you're going to create about 5 or 6 of these in each color on your paper. They will have to go in between the white areas. They're going to mix together. And when you're finished and you've put in all your colors, it's going to look like that. Do you see how the colors have run into each other? And that's what we want. We want it to look like their fingers going inside of fingers. All right? Now, the advantage of doing crayons over this is crayons may take a little longer to do. However, we can immediately start cutting these out. The painting may go quicker, but you have to wait for the paper to dry before we start cutting it. So if you're in a real big hurry and you've chosen to use paint, get out a hairdryer and dry the paper. It takes about, 10 minutes or so to get the paper nice and dry. Either way, it's your choice. Now your next choice is, what am I going to use for background colors? If you have white, that's great. We'll just use white. If you wanted a color other than white, but you not sure Well, go ahead and paint it a nice dark color, like either black or a dark blue or a dark purple, to give us that good contrast between the light colors and the background. So go ahead and prep that paper if you need to color it or if you need to paint it. Go ahead and prep that. Then what we're going to do is start creating our triangles to create this sort of looks like old stained glass. And you're going to take, whether it's your painted one or your crayon one, you're going to cut strips. And once you've cut the strips, you're going to end up with pieces that look like this. They're just kind of a mishmash of all different colors. And we're going to fold this in half. Give it a good crease so you can hold it neatly. And then using the bottom as one of our edges of our triangles, I'm just going to start cutting out triangles. Now you can make them all the same size, or you can make them different sizes. Now some of these will come out very multicolored, and some of them may just have one color in them. Either way, there's no right or wrong with this project. I love projects like that that don't have a right or wrong. This one has yellow and orange. And you're just going to keep cutting till you've run out of paper. Now, I've cut out obviously 1, 2, 3 triangles, but because I folded my paper in half, I actually got twice the amount. So if I cut 3, but I got twice of them, oh, here's that math question again. How many in all did I get? So if we have 2 on each one, 2, 4, 6. Now you may say, well, time to throw this paper away, but not really, because we can turn it over and cut some more triangles. I can cut a thin one here. Because you may need some thin ones, or some fatter ones, or shorter ones to fill in areas where we're leaving some gap. And you will notice that when we're doing this, that it's making your paper have a zigzag look to it. Now what you're going to want to do is at least bare minimum, I would say 4 strips like this to get started. So create 4 strips worth. And when you open this back up, I have kind of a cool design there too. Almost a lightning bolt look. Then what you're going to do once you've got a nice big pile of, say, at least 30 pieces, you're going to choose your background color, and you can cut it into a square, you can cut it into a rectangle, whatever shape you want it to be. Then you're going to pick up, allergies are getting at me. Then you're going to want to start gluing these down. Now you'll notice I left a tiny little border of black showing around the outside, plus a tiny bit in between each one of the triangles. I wanted each piece to kind of show itself off. So to do that, you're just going to pick your triangles up one by one. And there's the pretty side. You're going to use your glue stick, go around it twice, Now, normally I work on my table, but in order for you to see what I'm doing, I'm having to hold it up. And then you're going to stick it down on your background paper. Now, when you put them down, remember to leave a little bit of a border around the outside and a little bit of space in between each triangle. Now, you know, for as warm and as humid as it gets around here, that the glue doesn't want to stick unless you're constantly pressing it down. Remember our little trick of singing happy birthday to ourselves 2 times to make it stick? Well, you can do that. Your next piece, we might flip it and go in the opposite direction and go down like that. Or we may continue off to the side. Just remember to leave a little space in between and around the outside edge. Now when you're finished, you may end up with a few gaps where you could put a little one in like that, or a little skinny one in like that one, to help fill it. You may have to do some little trimming to make sure it works and fits in there. But this should work out pretty well. There's really kind of no right and wrong other than trying to leave a little bit of space around each one and around your outside. Now, for your second one, there should be plenty of leftover paper that you can take an object. If you want circles, find something to trace for a circle. If you want squares, just make yourself a pattern that you can trace around them. And what you're going to do, I chose this because I wanted circles. I found an old medicine bottle that I hadn't thrown out. And I chose to trace around the bottom, so I just set it here, traced around it with my pencil, moved it over, and I've got like 4 or 5 across. Did a few more to get 9 because I chose to make mine a square. Now in this one I left a much bigger border when I glued the pieces down. I left about an inch border all the way around. And then when I started gluing them down, I tried to evenly space them. I laid them down first before gluing just to kind of see where I needed to be. Space them evenly in between, horizontally, and in between vertically. Try to keep the same kind of space. Watch your colors, that you don't put the exact same color right next to the exact same color, so you create much more interesting pieces. So I want you to have fun with this. Be patient with your gluing. You know how that goes. I hope you enjoyed today's lessons about primary and secondary colors. Look how bright and beautiful projects they make. Have a great day. Learn something new. Stay safe.